The Work Trump and the Girls of Ben Tre. Part 2, Chapter 2. Story, Trump at Mar-a-Lago ***. In the afternoon, Mar-a-Lago was covered in sunset light. Former President Trump sat silently looking out to sea. After returning from Washington, he felt surrounded by threats and pressure from all sides, a feeling very familiar but also strange. Rumors, news reports were buzzing about a new investigation, a surprise search that could come at any time. They want to use the law to make me a symbol of failure, he thought. It felt like being besieged in a war that he could not control, a war not unlike what Americans had experienced when they were drawn into Vietnam. To ease his mind, he began to recall conversations with advisors in the White House when they discussed Vietnam. In the dim space, memories came back to him. People had told him about events like strategic hamlets or the Gulf of Tonkin incident. He recalled one of the stories his political advisor had shared when they discussed the power of the media and how they created pretexts for wars. ***, the Gulf of Tonkin incident ***. Trump sat silently, recalling the stories he had heard about how the U.S. intervened in Vietnam, especially the Gulf of Tonkin incident, a pretext for the U.S. to expand the war. But it was not only the U.S. but also indirect allies, such as Norway, who contributed to the tension. Trump recalled the Gulf of Tonkin incident in 1964, a major turning point in Vietnamese history. That day, initial reports said that an American destroyer was attacked by a North Vietnamese submarine. The news outraged the American public, and the U.S. Congress quickly passed a resolution giving the president full authority to send troops into Vietnam. But the truth behind it was more complicated. It was later revealed that the event had been exaggerated, and the U.S. government had used it as a pretext for expanding the war. Trump suddenly realized that there were strange similarities between that story and the situation he was facing. The Gulf of Tonkin incident was not just a story of the past, but a lesson in how power can manipulate law and justice to serve its own interests. Before the U.S. officially entered the war in 1964, a number of Norwegian-built torpedo boats were sold to South Vietnam and used in secret, U.S.-directed operations. These ships, optimized for high-speed attacks, played an important role in the Opland 34A campaign, a series of operations to put pressure on North Vietnam through surprise attacks. As these torpedo boats approached and disrupted the northern waters, tensions increased day by day. The situation became serious when the U.S. accused their destroyers of being attacked in the Gulf of Tonkin. This event pushed the U.S. Congress to pass the Gulf of Tonkin Resolution, allowing the U.S. president to deploy troops in Vietnam, a major turning point in the history of war. Trump sipped his tea, his eyes still looking out to sea. He saw a clear similarity with what he was facing. Those weaponized and created events were no different from political opponents trying to find an excuse to destroy him, just like the U.S. created an excuse to escalate the war in Vietnam. Now, he feels he is also being besieged in an invisible war, not with guns and bullets, but with the media and the law, by those who want to weaken and destroy him in the hearts of the people. Trump's situation. Is history repeating itself? But this time the focus is no longer on distant Vietnam but on himself, in the country he once led. Just as people created the Gulf of Tonkin incident to start a war, now, he feels he is facing events created to weaken his reputation and career. He wonders if this is the trick of a modern war, not on the battlefield but in his own home, in the heart of America, with weapons called the media and the law. Trump closes his eyes, trying to find peace, but his mind continues to wander about the searches taking place right at Mar-a-Lago. This event was like a carefully planned campaign with a clear political purpose, similar to the way the Gulf of Tonkin incident was used as a reason for the U.S. to intervene militarily in Vietnam. The surprise raids by federal security forces on his residence, under the pretext of searching for classified documents, were not unlike the torpedo boats that had approached North Vietnam in the past, triggering a chain of events that escalated. As reports of sensitive documents allegedly stored at Mar-a-Lago continued to appear in the media, Trump felt like he was facing a psychological war, where not only actions, but also words and images were turned into artillery shells aimed at him. The similarity was terrifying. During the Vietnam War, the torpedo boats that Norway had provided were used by the U.S. to launch covert attacks on the north, contributing to the tension and then the official justification for the war. Here, the searches and investigations at Mar-a-Lago seem to be just a pretext to convince the public that he is a danger to America, even though he is living peacefully, far from politics. Trump realizes that this is not a war on land or sea, but an invisible war, but no less fierce. The forces that want him to fall are using every means to discredit him in the eyes of the people, turning him into an enemy of America, an image they want to shape. And just like the Gulf of Tonkin incident, every detail, every action is interpreted to fit the story they want the public to believe.